Hey everybody, it's John Ray, the elected project lead for NFTREASURE, and today I really just wanted to walk everybody through the current vision of NFTREASURE. We've been having some great conversations on the back end between myself, our dev team, and some of the consultants there, and I really think that we have a strong vision for why this product will continue to become more and more important in the crypto, NFT, and beyond ecosystems. So, this is a graphic that we used in our last dev sync to make sure that everybody on our team is on the same page and understands what we're building. And I thought today I would just walk you through all of the granularity within this graphic so that we can all be on the same page about what we're doing with NFTREASURE, where we're currently at, some of the challenges that we're having, and why future is bright when it comes to what we're building as a community. So, what you see here is the journey up the mountain that we're making here for NFTREASURE. So I'll be zooming in on certain pieces of this, but basically we start with our future ambitions. Where are we trying to get? We'll go through some of the challenges, the project goals, short term and long term, some of the milestones and sprints that will be coming up, the things that we're using to be able to actually create these things in a meaningful way, and then some of the ways of that we as a team are working together to create this. So let's start with what our ultimate future ambition is. Really, what we're aiming to do is build a toolkit or a product set that allows brands and people to create salient communities. One of the things that was very apparent at both of the trips that we made to New York for any community members that came out to Troy, New York, or to NFT NYC was that we created core memories there. It was salient, meaning that it was something that we won't forget, and we associate the brands that were involved in those experiences in a meaningful way. And that's what all advertising campaigns, that's what every PR firm or ad agency is looking for, is they want to create meaningful engagement with a community that then gets reflected and associated with their brand. And so one of the things that I think NFTREASURE can continue to evolve into is using merchandise not just as a way to fulfill a need in a project. We know that there's a certain percentage of every project holders that want premium merchandise. So we'll always be able to fulfill that need. But one of the things that we're developing is basically a timeline or a framework that helps a Web3 project identify where in their Web3 journey are they. Have they not launched yet? Are they at launch? Was the launch successful or not successful? We're building out a decision tree so that Web3 projects can come in and say, oh, actually, I'm right here. And then for each stage in the Web3 project lifecycle, there are certain things that we've identified as being important for building a trustworthy community that is going to stay with the project through thick and thin. And one of the things that we can use merchandise for is to incentivize early minting and volume, to incentivize VIP engagement in the community or in the Discord. And so we'll be building out promotional mechanisms for projects that allow us to foster that kind of community building and then bridge that into the real world by utilizing some of the things that we've seen effective as far as us being able to live print and press t-shirts at these events. So helping projects create events, giving them consulting on what we've seen work and not work, and then creating these event collectibles. One of the things that we've seen at the past two events is that there's kind of a collect them all attitude that has grown around the shirts that we're offering at these events. So, some people got one of the NFT NYC shirts, and then other people got the Troy, New York Cockfest shirt. Now we have Cock Census, which is the consensus event that's coming up. And so what we're doing is we're creating a collectible reason to come to these events, and these shirts represent kind of all of the interesting moments that happen at those events. One Third Nerd getting the event logo that the NF designer Jordan designed for him tattooed on him, him proposing to his now fiance, me live pressing in the glass shop and being able to talk to so many people from the community. Like, these are core memories, and these are things that people are going to place as high meaning in the hierarchy of things in their lives. And one of the things that will become infinitely valuable to corporate brands and Web3 brands and beyond is having a community of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people that are ready to engage in that way, and providing a pathway so that major brands can enter into Web3 in a meaningful way and in a way that doesn't feel inauthentic. And that's one of the biggest things that I think NFTREASURE is going to be able to create, as you'll see through all of the technology, the underlying technology stack that we're building. Ultimately, what we're going to be able to do is go to a brand like Adidas or Nike or OpenAI or X and say, hey, if you're looking to create something real in Web3 and you want to engage a degen army that is ready to have a meaningful experience with your brand, then why don't you infuse capital into NFTREASURE in such a way that we can reward those members, and then they will associate the affinity of those rewards with your brand. So that's what it means here when we say that the ultimate future ambition is creating these salient communities. That's what NFTREASURE helps people do. It helps people create core memories. And above and beyond what we're doing now, and we'll see the tech stack that's being developed to support this thesis, we also want to attract organic, high quality designers. We want to build a network around these designers. One of the reasons that these events have been successful is that we have an incredibly talented design mind in Jordan, who is NFTREASURE's lead designer. But very quickly, he's going to be at bandwidth, and we need to make sure that we have a design network and that we create the right opportunities so that other people with the same talent or differing talents, differing perspectives of Jordan can come in, and we can connect them with brands. We can connect them with meme coins, so that the same thing that we've been able to do with projects like Kakanu, other designers will be able to do with some of the other meme coins, crypto projects, DeFi projects, and NFT projects that we attract to our ecosystem. And so in many ways, we need to think about how we can be a matchmaker between brands and designers who really understand Web3. So that's another future ambition, and what some of the technology that we'll go through is going to be pointing to. And one of the ways that we'll do that is by continuing to fine tune our marketplace of things. So we already have a marketplace for designs where it makes it super easy for somebody to upload their own design onto a garment. We want to grow some of the features within the marketplace so that brands can essentially easily find and hire designers and partner with designers to really grow a brand, to create something that is above and beyond just a cryptocurrency, but through high design and salient meaning, become something that means more than just financial gains. It's about really connecting with community, and I think our relationship with the Kakanu project has shown that can happen. There's so many people that now have gone to these events that recognize, oh, the value in this project, of course, is financial. We're all invested, because we believe that the future potential of some of these projects that we're engaged with is interesting enough to rise over time. But there's an intangible element of the people that we meet, and recognizing that behind every human is a wallet. And that's the narrative that I really think is going to take hold, in this season of crypto and cycle and beyond. And it's the thing that's going to bring large corporate brands into the space, because they're going to realize that when communities are properly incentivized, it bands them together in a meaningful way that allows you to have moments with a brand and with a community that you couldn't have otherwise. That is going to be highly attractive. And as we think about potential exit strategies for those of us in NFTREASURE, the strategies are that we continue to run NFTREASURE and bring in massive sponsorship dollars where as a way to incentivize community, maybe these larger brands are buying large swaths of the treasure token, and then we're distributing that through the various mechanisms that we'll be building out. Maybe we're turning all of our gear into token faucets, and so we're helping facilitate transactions where a brand can take a large position in a project and then distribute those over time to community members that engage with that brand. That's the gamification. And ultimately where we're going with all of this is we want to be the platform that connects major brands in an intimate way with Web3 users. And if we can fulfill on that promise, then there is a huge potential down the line for us to be able to capitalize on those type of relationships. So let's talk about some of the challenges that we've run into so far as we're pointing towards that vision. So not to toot my horn here, but one of the things that we were talking about, from the dev team perspective is that right now I'm working a lot of hours. Anytime there's something that happens, I'm doing my best to be very quick to respond on Twitter, in Discord. People book me 6 hours a day just to ask me questions about merchandise. And so in many ways, my personality is helping shore the ship in such a way that we can actually build out the foundational things that are required for me for this to be more permissionless. And sometimes it's uncomfortable for me to have to be the person that's fielding all of the high emotion, both good and bad, because it removes my attention from being a builder and from encouraging other people to build into NFTREASURE. And so while that's fine in the short term, obviously long term, the goal here is to be fully permissionless, so that if I get hit by a bus, we have a manual that anybody will be able to take and engage. And so I'm using my deep interest and passion for this project to build out that manual, so that in the future we can have offshoots of how we're doing our printing and empower people in the community to open up their own fulfillment center in the country that they're in, so that we can reduce shipping costs. All of these come from us embodying at the nervous system level what all of these challenges are. So one of the things that happens in business is that all startups run through the nervous system of their founders. And so in many ways, the early community here are all founders, and we all feel an emotional connection to this project because we've been here so long. And so the project runs through the nervous system of those of us who are most intimately involved on a day-to-day basis in the project. But what you want to do in order to scale a business is you want to build a nervous system for the business. You want to build a decision tree system so that anybody could step in and know how those early decisions were made, how early success was found, so that it can be duplicated. So what we're in the process of doing is building out a nervous system that is separate from mine, that's separate from our dev team, that's separate from all of the core players in the community. And that can be run in a decentralized manner. And I think that we're making good strides in that direction. Another challenge that we have is too many urgent priorities. So the problem with building in a small team and building in a large community is that the squeaky wheel tends to get the grease or the oil. And one thing that happens is that anytime there's an issue with the game, or something that is wrong with the e-commerce store, we have to move our attention off of building some of this future tech that will allow us to ultimately see this vision through, and we have to go back and fine tune all of these other things. And so anybody that understands flow and momentum when it comes to deep work recognizes that when there's an interruption, it takes another 15 to 30 minutes after that interruption to get back into a flow state. And one of the things that we were talking about as a team is how we can properly structure our team in such a way where developers aren't constantly being pulled in side directions to fix urgent priorities, and instead we can move in sprints, and move as a cohesive whole to really build out features in a robust way that allows us to continue to be releasing tech into the ecosystem. So we're fine tuning that. We're bringing new people onto the team. We're building out a project management system that's going to allow us to do that effectively. And really, as a project manager and as the project lead, my job is to field all of the urgencies and all of the high emotions and all of the things, and properly prioritize them, and then bring them to the team in a way where their work isn't being interrupted, but that we have daily and weekly meetings where we address some of these issues outside of their deep work times. And so that's how we are currently thinking about some of those urgent priorities. And it's one of the ways that we've started handling the tickets. When somebody submits something through a red tab, we aggregate those, we prioritize those, and we time block those out, rather than trying to respond to every single one the second that it comes in. Another challenge has been the curse of community nitpicking, and I'm not trying to say that is not valuable. This is just an authentic internal document that I wanted to share so that you can understand how we think about things. One of the things that happens is when we don't hit one of our timelines, boredom can kind of set in, because there's nothing new that's being released into the ecosystem. And so then that frees up people's attention, because they don't have the novelty of exploring the new thing. So that frees up people's attention to be a little bit more nitpicky on the things that could be better about the game, that could be better about Wallet Connect, that could be better about the e-commerce store or the creator tool. So those are all really valuable feedback. We document them all. And again, we put it into a system where we try to prioritize where those live in this roadmap. But it is one of those things where, we've tried to shield some of our developers from, just being in the Discord every single day and reading everything the way that we all used to, because again, it takes people out of deep work and it reduces productivity. So now I go in, I aggregate everything in the Discord and bring it to the dev team and to our consulting team. And together we organize those on a daily and weekly basis so that nobody is having their flow states interrupted while we're working. Another challenge has been chunky adoption. So chunky adoption basically means that, we've kind of been duct taping things together, or certain use cases have appeared over time as we see how people are using the tool. So a good example of this is when we launched, we did not have any projections where certain players would have, more than 200 keys. But now that's the case, because one of the interesting strategies until we mint out, because the majority of rewards are distributed to keys, is to basically acquire as many keys as you can until we mint out. One of the strategies in the game long term is really about owning the largest percentage of the treasure supply, and an interesting way to do that is to mint more keys. So we've seen players that are doing that. You can see, individual player key counts rising exponentially right now, and the reason is because certain players have done the math and they feel that long term, that's ultimately one of the better plays right now. What that's done is it broke some of our systems because we weren't thinking about what happens when 400 keys try to bulk open chests and win prizes. So that pulled us off of our current task and allowed us to think deeply about, okay, how do we solve some of these things where people can bulk open without hitting, gas limits. And then we built out temporary and now are working on long-term solutions so that our larger key holders have a good experience, because we want those keys minted. We do think that that's an interesting strategy, and we want to make sure that the people that are supporting the project in that way feel like they're having a good experience. But that's what I mean by chunky adoption. Certain things pop up where we're like, we didn't anticipate that, and now we have to retroactively fit the technology to fit that use case. Another challenge that we've had is just the product design gap between my mind and kind of what I know from running an e-commerce store, and the way that our dev team is thinking about what an e-commerce store is. And so the way that we've tried to resolve for that is by bringing in UX designers to kind of lull out of my head, like, technically what it should be. What I like to do is go through other e-commerce stores and create Loom videos for our UX team on all the different things that I think are amazing in these other e-commerce stores that I know are doing tens of millions of dollars a year in sales. And then they tried to distill that into a design Figma file that our dev team can then implement. There was a while where I was feeling pulled in a lot of different directions, and that communication was not as open, and we didn't have a team hierarchy in place to be able to do that. And what was happening is things were getting developed in a way that didn't match the ultimate user flow that I felt, and that some of our consulting team felt would be most advantageous. And so then we would have to go and redo some of that stuff. And so it was creating double work. And it was just a disconnect in communication that has now been resolved. One, by creating a full vision chart like this and making sure that everybody on our team is on board with where we're going and understands where everything should be pointing to long term. And two, by engaging our UX team a little bit more deeply as we finalize the last 15% of the e-commerce store. That also kind of just plays into a communication issue between our ops team and our dev team. So we have an incredible team of people who have been doing streetwear and printing, for the last 10, 20 years. We've now expanded our shop because of order size to an additional 4 printers that we're using. We have 5 heat presses. We have 2 embroidery machines that will be ramping up as we start to do patches and hats in the coming week. And we're constantly adding new methodologies for making this more efficient. There's a whole section of this print shop that is solely dedicated to fulfilling NFTREASURE's gear because the volume order is there. However, there hasn't always been great communication between the print shop and the dev team, and that's on me because I'm the communication mechanism currently as the elected project lead between those two things. So one of the things that I've been doing over the past couple of weeks is mapping all of the processes that we have going in the production shop. So what happens when an order comes in? Well, the print shop gets an email. In that order is the mock-up of what the design is supposed to look like on a shirt, and then the high-res image there. Well, the problem in our old system was that was really clunky, and sometimes it was kind of hard to find the high-resolution artwork, and so then sometimes the wrong artwork was getting placed on a shirt, and then in the review process, I'd have to say, actually, it's supposed to be something else, or that was supposed to be on the back of the shirt. It's because we didn't have a good technology to deliver the information in a way that was most useful to the print shop when they were trying to program the NFTs with the encryption key. A lot of times because it was a manual process where orders had to be manually entered into the back end dashboard for our NFC tool. A lot of times there would be lag time on those getting entered. And so then orders wouldn't go out as quickly as they otherwise should. So now that we've tied those things in and those challenges and made those available to the dev team, what we've created now is basically a system where the print shop gets an invoice that has a line item on it for each project. In that line item, it says the product name, it says the shirt, it says the base garment that they're supposed to be using for printing, and it says the size. I'm not sure if I said that. It also has an image of the front of the shirt and the back of the shirt so that they know which artwork goes with which. And underneath each of those is a link directly to the high-res art that they can load into the print software. Then when it comes time to program the NFC, we've developed the new NFC app, mobile browser app, where they scan the NFC chip, and then there's a QR code on the packing slip that comes with the order next to that line item. Rather than having to search out the product and hope that they got the right one, we've removed human error from the process. So there's a QR code there now that they just scan the NFC chip and then they scan the QR code and it automatically links all the product data. This is a much more efficient way of doing this and is going to allow us to get products out faster. It's also a direct sync. So no longer is there a middleman on our admin team having to move all of the information from the e-commerce store into the NFC app. There's an API that's doing all of that. And so no longer will we be delayed by waiting on humans to do something on the admin side. So those were all challenges that were born out of the ops team and the dev team not having communication. They were living in their own silos. And so now we've created the right communication flow on a weekly basis where everybody knows what everybody's doing. And we're very aware of challenges that are happening on both sides. The next challenge has been needing a tight development loop. So we actually had a really good showing of our new NFC technology at NFT NYC. And we were able to build out features like being able to bulk scan. So in our old app, it was super annoying. You would have to scan the NFC chip. Then you'd type in the thing that you want to associate with the NFC chip on chain. Then you'd link those two. Then when you scan the next NFC chip, you'd have to type it in, search it out, and link them again. That was okay when we're doing one at a time, but for an event like NFT NYC, it was very cumbersome to have to do one shirt at a time. So instead, we built out a batch tool that basically allows us to say, okay, all of the next 300 shirts in this limited edition collection are going to be linked to this same NFT art. And so then we can just scan the NFC, associate it with that product, and then click the batch load, and it allows us to very quickly just quickly scan through all 300 and associate them all with the correct product ID, and then it sequences those and numbers them properly. This came about from me just having a really tight development loop with our lead developer and being in constant communication about, hey, here's what I'm seeing in the app, here's what I'm doing, and kind of building out loud in that way instead of him building a whole thing of what he thought it should be and then coming back to me. That's one of the things that's happened with the e-commerce store is that I was focused on building out the NFC stuff and handling these events and working with some of our partners on various projects like the COT cards. And so the e-commerce team was just kind of building the e-commerce store based on their interpretation of what they thought it should be. The problem is that as I came in later on in the process to look at all of that, I realized that there were certain things that could or should have been done in a different way to make it a more meaningful user experience. And so then we had to backpedal a little bit. And so basically what we're developing is frameworks for these daily and weekly meetings where we're making sure that all of the right questions are being asked so that we're lulling out any uncertainty that somebody has. And we're calling that a tight development loop so that we can nip these things in the bud in their early subtle stages before a bunch gets done in the wrong direction. And then the final challenge that we're running into right now is that, we're running now a rather large e-commerce enterprise through these legacy systems. And obviously, those legacy systems aren't fully, excuse me, a little burpy right now. Those legacy systems aren't fully where they need to be. That's why they're a legacy system. we're fixing all of the issues that we see in the legacy system in the new system, but the new system has become, such a large system that we haven't been able to release it yet. And so we're breaking the legacy system, and we're having to add more human admin support to fix some of those gaps on the legacy system until the new system is ready. And the problem is that the legacy system is working pretty well with all of the back end admin help. If we didn't have all that back admin help that the community doesn't really see happening in the background, the current system wouldn't be working. So we want to reduce the amount of money and time that our admin team has to spend on the legacy system in exchange for a more permissionless system. But the more permissionless system needs to feel better than the current legacy system. And because there's a technology gap in the two, that's been a challenge that we're addressing through UX design and through trying to structure these things in the right way, as we'll see as we kind of go up the rungs of the mountain here. So hopefully that gives you a good understanding of some of the challenges that we've had in kind of the first couple of months of the project, and that I've spoken to some of the ways that we're solving for those things. So let's talk about some of the first milestones that we're aiming for right now in the current dev sprint that we're in. So the biggest goal is that the new e-commerce system needs to work flawlessly, and we'll unpack what flawlessly looks like. But really, the idea is that the new e-commerce system should not require the amount of admin team that we have on the back end, and a lot of that admin team is requiring my attention to manage and to make decisions. And so we want to free up our leadership team to be able to think about high value, high revenue ideas rather than dealing with the minutia of the day to day. We also want the e-commerce store to be built in such a way where our ad agency can really start to maximize ad spend. And the way that the current legacy store is set up, it just doesn't make sense to spend a ton of money on advertising, because we have an infinitely better system that's coming, and our return on ad spend will be so much greater at an exponential level on the new system. So we're holding off on deploying resources towards promotion until the system is fully developed and looped properly. That includes having the MVP of the NFC and Web3 experience. Right now, the NFC chip is rather limited in its function. If you scan your NFC chip, it just tells you, hey, you got this product. And so it basically acts as kind of a digital receipt, and there's nothing really salient on the back end of that. The first milestone that we want is to make sure that every single project has a soulbound NFT digital twin, and that you have a digital app that allows you to see that. So let me just share with you kind of what that will look like so that you can understand kind of this closet functionality that we will be releasing in the coming weeks and or months. So give me 1 second to pull that up here. So this is where we're heading with the NFC app. As you know, if you've been following the announcements, we moved away from, the fully developed app that we had in the iPhone and Google Play Store. One of the reasons was that people would scan the NFC chip, but nobody was downloading the app. And we wanted to be able to have better data and to be able to display more interesting things without you having to download an app in order to see it. So the way that it will work with the digital twin is when you scan your garment, it will immediately open a screen that looks like this in your mobile browser. Then you will be able to log in and claim a digital twin NFT. So we'll be able to tag it as either a limited edition or open edition. You'll create a profile. And you'll be able to basically see and authenticate this without a profile, which you can't do now. If you want to claim the NFT, you're going to have to associate a wallet. So you'll create a profile, and then you will claim the digital twin NFT. You'll select a wallet. You'll confirm ownership, and then it will now be in your NF Treasure closet. So your NF Treasure closet will look like this. And we feel like this is going to be an interesting way to get people to purchase more merchandise, because one of the things that happens is when you can see all of the merchandise you have, because you see all of your digital twins in your closet, it makes it puts you more into a collect them all mode. And then when you click through to each of these, this is where creators and brands will be able to specifically deliver certain things to their holders. And so when we talk about MVP of NFC Web3 experience, this is what we're talking about. It is completing this workflow. Let's see if there's anything else relevant here. There'll be profiles, etc. I think for the most part, that kind of showcases what that MVP experience looks like. And then once that mobile app is in place and we have good user data, that's when we can use that to deploy things like the augmented reality experience, which I have done a demo of and is getting to an interesting place. And things like NFT claims, token airdrops, etc. The final thing, in this current sprint that we're on, that we're aiming for, is to get everything to a place where we have deep tracking, pixel tracking that goes through the e-commerce store, the NFC app, and the game, so that our ad team can understand what the true ROI on ad spend is. Right now, we can see if we spend ads, does somebody buy merchandise? But we don't know how much of those ads translate into people minting keys or utilizing treasure in the DeFi game. And so we want to build out tools on the analytic tools on the back end that are going to allow our ad team to understand what the true lifetime value of an ad spend is and of each customer is, so that we can ramp up ad spending in a EV positive way. The next sprint that we'll be moving into, once kind of all of this is complete, and this will be as we move into the end of May and summer, is the MVP, so minimum viable product, of our promotional support tools, and the MVP of our brand building tools. So one of the things that I've mentioned early on is that we want NFTREASURE to be the place that you go to build a salient community, a community that's building core memories together. And we want NFTREASURE to be the physical bridge that allows you to connect with your digital friends in the physical world and vice versa. We'll use merchandise for a lot of that and showcase how projects can easily ramp up early mint volume by airdropping merchandise that you can redeem in the store. I guess one of the things that I didn't mention is that obviously prize season claim is part of the new e-commerce works flawlessly. So that is in the works, and it actually is the highest priority, is getting the prize claim done. We should have that in the next week so that people can start to redeem their prizes. But then up here, we want to make it easy for other projects outside of ours to run their own prize seasons, to airdrop their own prize NFTs that can be redeemed in NFTREASURE. We also want to allow brands to engage with our community in interesting ways. And so we'll be building out gamification methods where projects can basically sponsor campaigns either through Zeely or through by sponsoring things in the Treasure Box campaign to get attention on their project. We're also looking at using some of the AR experiences for this, which I'll talk about in our next milestone. But the idea is that as you build a brand and as we build out some gamification, so one of the things that we're thinking is that as an additional utility for your key levels, that you'll basically be able to stake your key levels to different brands, and then brands will be able to offer certain incentives to the people that are staked with them and to the people who have purchased their products. And so all of this creates a really robust community where the community is engaging with the brand and vice versa. We'll also be building out systems around how we can run events, meaning doing live t-shirt printing and pressing like we've done at these events. That can be a really interesting way for us to have consistent revenue. And it's another thing that we're experimenting with is the ability to do live trading card printing at events. So imagine being able to take a photo in a photo booth at an event, then that photo gets converted through AI and turns your physical picture into like a cartoon version of you. And then we put that on a PFP trading card that has an NFC chip in it. And then that NFC chip links to a soulbound NFT, and you're now a PFP. We think that this can be a really interesting thing that communities could have at their live events. We've already been working with our production studio to create something that will allow for this. And so, in addition to physical merchandise, we want to be able to create mechanisms where NFTREASURE can make money and bring in revenue that obviously then gets distributed via the bonus pool with these really salient live event experiences where we're literally making people an NFT, like you're becoming an NFT. And so that becomes a salient moment that people want to post about and talk about. And you get a trading card to represent that. I've got my trading card here that is a business card. And so one of the new products that we'll be launching is the ability for you to create your own PFP business card. And when somebody scans this, it takes them to my Connect page where they can hire me as a consultant. You could have yours go to anything. But part of the promotional support and building tools will be having the dashboard in the back end that allows you to sync all of that without need for a human admin team. It should be permissionless. All of that should be done with software, and all of it should be connected on chain. And so that next 4.2 sprint is where all of that will start to come into play. Then next will be guiding virtual community building and our brand ambassador program. So this is where we will deploy the augmented reality experience in an interesting way and have some game theory behind it that allows people to want to jump into that AR experience on a regular basis. That every time you put on one of your NFTREASURE shirts, you're going to deploy the augmented reality portal, because there's gamification within that portal that allows you to open treasure boxes, or it allows you to pull a slot machine. Or we're talking to certain projects where maybe we allow you to take your NFT portfolio and map that onto an animation, and then potentially fight another user. Like you'll be able to buy traits or trade treasure for different traits on your character within the AR game. And then you can deploy those to fight other characters, just like when you're casting cards in various card games. And then you can play for pink slips of your NFT. You can wager different crypto amounts. But the cool thing is that you'll be able to deploy the fight scene with these different fight animations where your NFT is fighting another NFT into your living room. So this is one example of some of the things that we're thinking about. I don't want to commit to that because we haven't fully engaged that partnership yet, and we don't know if it'll make financial sense. But some kind of game theory like that is what we're thinking about building into the virtual world that allows the virtual world to connect you with people in the greater community. And then once you have had experiences in the virtual world with other community members, then it makes you want to maybe go to some of these live events, and maybe you can win round trip tickets to some of these physical events by engagement farming in some of these platforms. The other thing, as I talk to influencers, is they all want us to have an affiliate program where they have a referral code where when they link into NFTREASURE, if somebody buys their merchandise or any merchandise, they should get a commission on that. And so that's a back-end dashboard that we'll be building that allows for brand ambassadorship. That's the part where if you're wearing a Cockatoo hoodie, and somebody's like, oh my God, I got to get one of those, which happened a lot at the event in Troy. Somebody will be able to scan your NFC. They'll be able to, if you've set your closet to public. So when I say closet, what I mean is your portfolio here of clothes. So you'll be able to set this to public. When they scan your NFC chip, they'll see the garment that you're wearing, but then they'll be able to click. So basically they'll see this, but then there'll be a button that says closet if you've made it public. They'll be able to see all of your garments, and they can basically shop through your closet. If they click on one of those and click buy, because they're on their phone now, they scanned your NFC chip with their phone, it triggers their Google Pay or their Apple Pay. They can double click that. You, as the person who triggered the sale from your closet, get a commission, and then they get a discount because they bought it through somebody in the real world. We think this could be a really interesting way not only to incentivize people buying merchandise, but maybe to mint NFT projects or promote other things as well. And part of this milestone is building out that program, and basically the brand ambassador kind of rewards gallery, where brands can come in and say, hey, if somebody sells one of my shirts or helps me mint out my project, I want to give extra rewards. So this is what you see in DeFi farming all the time is, a meme coin or a DeFi project will come in and say, hey, I'm going to incentivize the LP, and I'm going to say anybody that's providing liquidity here, I'm going to give them extra rewards because we want to deepen liquidity right now. And so then they basically donate rewards that they use as a marketing spend, and then people can farm those rewards. You see that's what's happening all over crypto right now. Well, we want to take that into the real world where brands can basically incentivize you to be a brand ambassador for them. And so if you incentivize somebody buying merchandise or minting somebody's collection, and you're using your closet, your NFTREASURE closet, to help promote projects, we want you to be able to farm rewards in the real world. And this is going to be the first step towards us having a meaningful way for larger brands to engage the DGen army. Then the final mechanism is that once all of those things are in place, like I just said, we now have a system that is designed to help brands, meme coins, DeFi projects, NFT projects create these digital and physical events that help their community create core memories. And so they will have a template for how to use NFTREASURE, NFTREASURE's reward mechanisms, NFTREASURE's augmented reality system, and NFTREASURE's template for building community to create core memories that makes people want to stay in their community, want to engage with a brand. And this is when we can start to pull in larger corporate sponsorship. This is where we'll have really meaningful case studies that we can use to go and pitch places like Deloitte, one of the biggest consulting firms in the world that works with every major brand in the world. If we can showcase, hey, have you ever wanted, have any of your clients ever wanted somebody to get a tattoo of their brand on them? Okay, well, that's happening in our communities. So do you want to learn how you can use NFTREASURE to create core memories that people associate with your brand? You do it by having your brand incentivize the things that they care about, which is buying the treasure token, which is buying the meme coins that they care about, which is buying the NFTs that they care about, and then distributing those back to the community via token drip merchandise, via these different farming mechanisms. This is going to be a really interesting way for major brands to engage with a Web3 savvy audience. And they're going to want to do it because every brand wants their brand associated with core memories. That's what they're all seeking out. And that's what they're paying millions of dollars to ad agencies to create. So as part of that, we will need to be able to integrate into the systems that all of these brands are using. And so part of this milestone is going to be building out a robust API that allows us to integrate with a bunch of different systems so that we can easily take whatever reward system that they have and seed that into NFTREASURE. So that's how we get to the top of the mountain in NFTREASURE. Some of the project goals that we're aiming for and that live on various parts of our Gantt chart are: we want to make it super simple to create merchandise, to attach that merchandise to an NFT, and to have that merchandise create a soul-bound digital twin so that the brand that created that, the creator, knows on-chain who their VIP customers are. We want promotional support tools that makes NFTREASURE not only the best place to get premium merchandise, but the best place to build community around your creative ideas. We want to create buzzworthy digital to physical bridges. And so we do that through our physical events, through our digital AR events, and by providing courses and templates on how to use merchandise to community build, how to make designs that will be profitable within the NFTREASURE ecosystem, how to promote your merchandise so that you get more sales. All of this is going to create a really sticky system that is permissionless in such a way where we can hit a tipping point and grow exponentially. Right now, it would be hard for us to have exponential growth, which was one of the reasons that we're not spending a ton of resources, time, energy, or money on promotional efforts. It's because we know that we will get an exponential return and ROI on those dollars and on that time investment once all of these things that I've just gone over are in place. Obviously, we want NFTREASURE to be the place that you come for compelling rewards. And we want you to know that when you wear your NFTREASURE merchandise, it's going to be Pokemon Go for crypto enthusiasts. It's going to be a way for you to farm crypto and farm rewards in the real world. And we're working on some really interesting game theory to be able to incorporate that. The goal over the next, by the end of the year, really is to have 100 designs in NFTREASURE that we know that we can, for every dollar we spend, we get at least $2 on the back end. What this allows us to do is infinitely scale up an ad campaign around those 100 designs. And so it may take us 1,000 designs or 10,000 designs to identify what those core profitable designs are. But once we have 100 designs that we know are EV positive, we can massively ramp up our ad spend to tens of $1,000s a month, knowing that on the back end of that, we'll be making hundreds of thousands of dollars. The idea being that for every 10,000 we spend, there's at least 20,000 in profit that comes through that. We want 100,000 garments in the wild so that we have a really sticky ecosystem and community that we can pitch to sponsors. Once sponsors know that they can build salient moments using NFTREASURE and they can infuse their brand into our core memory building machine, which is what we're doing with our digital events and our physical events, this is going to be something that allows us to attract sponsorship dollars, and those sponsorship dollars will come in the form of token buybacks, of NFT sales, of merchandise sales, and the purchase of other tokens that are then distributed through the mechanisms that we build out in NFTREASURE, the DeFi game being one of those. And then ideally, we want to get to a tipping point where all of this tech is so dialed in, all of these systems and processes are so dialed in. We have such a clear roadmap for how somebody can effectively build a community and build a digital to physical bridge that IRL communities start forming independently. And every day we're just hearing about these cool things that people are doing independent of the NFTREASURE leadership team. That's where we really move into becoming a utility infrastructure that is an engine that can scale massively. And that's really where the value of the ecosystem begins to ramp up. So I know this video has been going for a while. I appreciate you listening through this. I think it's important that we understand what we're all building and what the vision is here, and why I'm personally more excited about this than any entrepreneurial thing that I've ever done, and why I feel that this mountain that we're climbing, when we get to the top of it, actually removes me from the picture and allows me to just be a player, allows me to be a community member who is getting the value in these core experiences by being a player, by utilizing the game theory. And with all of these APIs, with the transparency of this vision, what we're asking is, if you're a builder, come and build into NFTREASURE. It is a decentralized platform. The OTC marketplace that Tram and his team have built showcases that. The daycare that they've built showcases that. These are incredible tools that had no oversight really from the leadership team. Tram and his team saw that NFTREASURE is decentralized. They saw problems that existed that their tools could provide unique solutions to. And they built those, and some of those tools have been profitable for them. But more importantly, they've been wildly valuable to the community. We want people to be able to build their own stuff on the back end of the NFC chip. We want people to be able to build their own reward systems into our DeFi loop and into the reward mechanisms and game theory. We want people to be able to build their own experiences within our AR tools. And so ultimately, this is the groundwork that we're laying in order to hit a tipping point, not just on consumers, but on builders in our ecosystem as well. So, do I want to get this granular with you on kind of how we create this? We might as well do it since it's here. And you can stop listening if you've gotten enough, but if you really want to understand what's getting built here, I will dive into the ultimate objective here. And what is it? It's to build a kick-ass consumer experience. So what do we do that? How do we do that? And of course, I've already covered a lot of this, but this will be good review. We're going to minimize admin labor. All parts of the store need to feel as good as a high quality Shopify template and beyond. There are certain e-commerce stores that do, tens of millions of dollars a year. They've been hyper optimized, and we want to take all of the learnings from that and make sure that our store matches that. We want people to start to recognize that they're collecting merchandise when they're at NFTREASURE, and we want them to use the NFC app to get into that collect them all mentality, where they love scrolling through and just looking at, ooh, look at all of the goodies that I've got, my precious. The same way that you do with your NFTs, we want people to collect merchandise the way that you collect an NFT. Because guess what? All of our merchandise is an NFT as we build out a more robust ecosystem. And then we want to have incredibly robust analytical data so that we can make data-driven decisions, and so that we can build out a decision tree so that if I'm not around, if something happens to me, there's clear data markers where we know when certain things happen, this is what we do. All right, so let's unpack each of those a little bit more. Minimizing admin labor means that we need to build out a robust creator tool and a robust production backend. What that looks like for the creator tool is having really clear templates that you can pop your PFP NFTs into. Much cleaner experience than what we have in the current product creator tool. We want creators to be able to edit their designs and info. You shouldn't have to message me or the admin team to change the title, to change your description, to change the sizing of your image. All of that needs to be permissionless, and that's what will be in the next tool. We want automated product mockup so that in addition to having your design on, an AI looking garment, we ultimately want to have tools where that gets mocked up onto something that looks like real product photography. There should be brand support so that you can easily give your community coupons. You can create shipping calculations, and there should be a back end where every time you get a sale and what your current commission total for the month is, and then a claim button to be able to claim those commissions. All of that's coming. And part of that is going to have to happen is that we're going to have to legitimize, just like any major brand, how we issue commissions. So we will probably use something like Stripe Connect, where you will have to KYC into Stripe Connect as a vendor, and then we'll pay commissions through that vendor relationship so that we are above board. As I mentioned in Discord, I've been using the Connect app, which is a consulting app, to kind of talk to legislators about how NFTREASURE can become a model for what it looks like to run a crypto small business and soon a major enterprise. And Tulsi Gabbard, who you may know is the senator from Hawaii, she's run for president. Right now she's polling as the number 2 potential candidate for Trump's VP. Regardless what you think about politics, Tulsi Gabbard is somebody who understands that blockchain needs to be integrated into government systems. And I asked her, how do we do it when we're getting so much, crosstalk from the SEC and beyond? And she connected me with somebody in the SBA that will help us continue to build out and have best practices so that we can be a model for what it looks like to run a successful entrepreneurial ventureship as a community. And some of that means that if you want to earn money in our ecosystem, you will have to KYC, not to us as a project, but to a vendor like Stripe, so that we can make sure that everything is above board with those payouts. This is just what you would have to do with Etsy, with Redbubble, with any of these other places that you could earn commissions. So just know that that's coming, and that as part of that, we're going to be able to scale faster because we're not going to get in trouble, once we get on the radar of somebody. The worst thing would be, as we ramp up our ad campaign to tens of thousands of dollars a month, it puts us on the radar of some legislator that digs in and recognizes that, we're not following proper procedures, and then we get dinged for that, and it stops our ability to continue exponential growth. So we're going to do it the right way. We have plenty of contacts that are helping guide us through that. Just saying it out loud so that you know that it's coming, because it's actually going to allow us to attract more high-end designers. And then we already talked about there'll be account and order management that happens through that as well. On the production back end, we need them to be able to easily have all the print media. Like I said, there'll be that packing slip where they can easily sync things to the NFC chip with that QR code. All parts of the store feeling good as high quality Shopify template. This means that everything has a professional feel, intuitive UX, good messaging. Right now, we're not 100% on all of these things. When you go to nftreasure.com, the visual feel is right, but some of the messaging is convoluted. And especially as we mint out all of our keys, the focus is going to become more e-commerce on the front end, and then the DeFi game and the treasure keys will be pitched on the back end of an order, just like any other e-commerce reward system would be. We feel like this is going to be a more effective way to pitch newcomers on the ecosystem. They come in for the merchandise. Once they've bought the merchandise, we know that there's somebody that's interested in what we're doing. And then we can pitch them through a back-end funnel on why the DeFi game is important and how it allows them to extract value from the ecosystem. There's a couple of sites here that we're modeling that we think will be interesting. We want to ability showcase that you can connect your NFT and create merchandise. We're not doing a great job of that right now, and so we want it to be easier for you to know that you connect your NFT. You can easily search through hundreds of NFTs, thousands of NFTs that you have there. All the NFTs are categorized by the NFT collection name. And then you can place that onto a hat, onto a canvas, onto a shirt, easily find the templates, and we can easily surface the interesting templates that you could put your NFT into, easily place your NFT into a trading card. We're not doing a good job of promoting any of that right now, and yet we've still had decent sales, even though we're not doing a good job of promoting that. We need to clearly show where people should go. We need to have social proof under every single project, meaning user-generated content that says what our shirts are like, how they fit, etc. We need to have good search. The kind of search that I think is interesting is when you type in something like this, we want to have like visual search like this that then allows you to very effectively scroll through the products. You can just see that this is a better experience. We want to have real photography. These are the ways that we elevate our game and improve conversion, right? Then on the NFC wardrobe side, we've already talked about it, but one, we need people to be able to claim their digital twin. They need to be able to lock and unlock that so that they can sell their merchandise on a secondary market. We want brands to if you're a brand creating merchandise, we want you to be able to easily find your users, interact with them, engage with them, share rewards, etc. And then we want to be able to gate products in the marketplace by those NFTs, so that I can say, hey, if you buy this NFT, you're going to get access to this other thing that I'm doing, this embroidered bomber jacket, which there's only 100 of. You'll get first access to that. We need a better system for creating limited editions. Right now, it's somewhat of a manual process where we have to say, okay, this is the 52nd Wojak shirt that we know that we've sold. And so then somebody types in 52 into the NFC, and then now that's number 52. That needs to all be algorithmic. We need to reduce the possibility for human error. And so that's coming and will allow us to easily use our batch system to create these limited edition collections. So that when you scan yours, you'll know that you got number 44 of 100. Then the closet feature, which is what we're calling this, just allows you to see all your products. They all have a soulbound NFT. You can make that you can make that portfolio or closet public. You can have a quick buy where you can earn commissions by talking to people about the merchandise that you have. And then all of these tools that we're building on the mobile side, of course, need to exist on the desktop end as well. Finally, for analytical data, and this is mostly so that we can make our advertising campaigns EV positive and have a strong ROI. So the data that we need to be collecting for creators and traders is basically the tools around the ecom value, so that you can start trading your designs. So if you create a great design that's selling a lot, we should be able to see the volume of that design, so that people understand, okay, maybe this is something that I want to buy. In many ways, our designs, could be seen similar to how tickets are in the arena. If you saw my master guide post on the arena, you understand kind of how that ticketing system works. And so we'll have something similar for ecom value. There obviously needs to be a dashboard for creators where they can engage in all the ways that we've talked about. And then we need to build out a robust NFT marketplace integration that allows us to share this ecom value with places like the OTC marketplace that we already have, places like JPEGs, places like potentially hyperspace. We need to make sure that as we connect merch designs to NFTs, that ecom value lives as a property that can be traded in other NFT marketplaces. And then our ad agency team just needs better Shopify tracking. We're moving everything to a custom, it's called headless commerce. It's basically our own custom built version of an e-commerce store that still uses best practices and Shopify as a payment portal. We got approved for headless commerce, and what that allows us to do is basically turn every NFC chip into a payment portal, which is how these quick buy functions from the closet are going to work. We need to have an affiliate program. We need the ability to have strong upselling, good reviews, social sharing, cross-selling, meaning you know, when you're in your cart, it says, hey, 60% of people that bought this shirt also bought this. So that we're increasing the cart value every time somebody comes to the store. And then the ability for us to collect and present user-generated content. You can see, well, I don't have access to it right now, but basically on the product page, if an Instagrammer or an influencer or somebody in our community makes a video or makes a post, how much they love, their Wojak t-shirt or their iDiamond treasure shirt, one of my favorites, or their all your Bitcoin belong to us, Larry Fink shirt. We want to make sure that we can present all those tweets and all that social engagement on the product page in order to increase conversions. So that's about all that I have to say. This is the future vision of NFTREASURE. If you believe in this vision, if you think that it's interesting, the treasure token is the value capture token of this ecosystem. The way to think about the treasure token is, how do I get the highest percentage of the treasure token supply? We're in an inflationary stage of the treasure token. Price is going to do whatever price does. The ways to earn treasure are obviously staking and moving your tokens around in the bonus pool. But remember, if we go to the treasure box game, let me just log in real quick so that we can look at what's going on here. So 256 million treasure tokens are being issued to keys via the key rewards pool. The bonus pool is only 44 million. So there are exponentially more rewards in the key rewards pool, which is why you see people max bidding on treasure keys. The way to an interesting strategy for accumulating the largest percentage of the treasure token is to max mint keys. At least that, if we look at the on-chain data of what the players who are most engaged are doing, that seems to be the strategy that's playing out. So obviously not financial advice, but if you just look at the numbers, where do most of the rewards come from, and how are you going to capture the most percentage of the treasure supply? It's going to be by max minting keys. So there's a lot of ways that you can position yourself to do that, but that's the way that a lot of key players in the community are thinking about it, is how do I get the most keys so that by the time all of this is built, I own as large a percentage of the treasure supply as possible. So The final thing that I will say is that one of the things that we want to do, obviously, is partner with larger brands. We want to showcase that NFTREASURE is an interesting way for them to build community around what they're doing. And one of the brands that I think would be interesting for us to connect with is a brand called Valuetainment. They run an app called Monect, and Monect is basically like Cameo, if you're familiar with that, for entrepreneurs. So it's a consultation app. Anybody can come in here and read, the type of consultation that I or anybody offers. Um, it allows you to book, high level executives and people who are subject domain experts in their field, and for anywhere from 10 to thousands of dollars, you can ask them a question and get detailed answers on that. I right now am competing to be on the Monect leaderboard, and you can see I just started on Monect, so I'm in the lightweight category currently. You can see that I'm number 3 out of all consultants. Tulsi Gabbard's coming up right behind me, but one of the things that you can basically, if I get to the number 1 spot here by May 31st, I get to go and have dinner for 3 hours with the Valuetainment team and Patrick Bet-David, and I get to pitch them something. We can see just from my bio page that there are plenty of UX UI things that could be better in this app. It's a new app. And what I would like to do is present in that dinner a new UI for what the Monect app could be if each consultant was able to offer their own merchandise, and that merchandise would then be fulfilled by NFTREASURE. So the Monect actually looks a lot better when you load the Monect app on iPhone or Android. But think about each creator on Monect having basically a merchandise gallery that looks something like this, where you can click through and buy inspirational merch to support that creator. If you consult with someone and they give you a brilliant idea, one of the ways that you'll be able to support would be buying a piece of merchandise that then NFTREASURE fulfills. In order for me to be able to pitch that, Valuetainment is one of the biggest alternative media brands. They're making major moves. Patrick Bet-David just sold his insurance company for $200 million, and he's investing a lot of that into Valuetainment and the Monect app. He's a minority owner of the Yankees. This is a high profile dude. I highly recommend getting in his ecosystem through his YouTube channel. Even if you don't agree with him politically, he is a incredibly deep thinker when it comes to economics and when it comes to entrepreneurship. And he is a fighter. He is somebody who knows how to win. And those are the type of people that we want to align ourselves with. So the number 1 lightweight, the number 1 middleweight, and the number 1 heavyweight by May 31st all get to go to dinner with Patrick Bet-David and the team and pitch something. I think that this could be an interesting way for us to pitch an alignment or a relationship between NFTREASURE and Valuetainment. And that would be an incredibly good relationship for us to have, because it would be a case study that we could then present to larger brands. And whether something materializes from that or not, Patrick Bet-David, here he is right here, him knowing who we are and having respect for us and talking us up on his podcast would be a major win. The guy charges $12,000 for 15 minutes of his time, which means a 3-hour dinner with him, technically, by his own calculations, would be worth $144,000. All around great guy. I would consider him to be one of the fathers of the internet. Why am I saying this on this call? It's because if you've tried to book time with me and my calendar is booked out for a month, in the time that you need, if you want a more detailed look at a project that you're building or how you can develop a strategy around NFTREASURE, of course, I'm willing to engage with you free of charge. Book on my calendar, but my calendar is pretty booked solid. So if you would like to jump the line and support our efforts to get NF Treasure on the Connect leaderboard, you can book me through my Connect link. You can ask me a question for $10, or you can book a video call with me for $1 a minute. Those are the minimum fees. Otherwise, I'd make them lower so that we could get more on the leaderboard. My time is worth way more than this. I will give you infinitely more value than $10 if you ask a good question. But whether you ask a good question that you actually need a response for, or whether you just send a message because you want to support and get more consults on the leaderboard, my Connect link is in the Discord, and this could be a really interesting way for us to, pitch one of the first, larger brand integrations. Where is it? Milestone of corporate offering. But basically having this experience where we can effectively bridge brands into Web3, and have them utilize our unique high quality merch delivery mechanism. So that's all I'll say. Connect is a way that you can support rising up on the leaderboard, so that maybe, it's not a guarantee, but maybe we'll be able to pitch something and create a relationship. You can see there's 31 consultations here on the leaderboard. It's showing 23. It doesn't go on the leaderboard until I have completed the consultation. So I've completed like 8 or more today. And then once a day, I think at midnight, this gets updated with the new leaderboard numbers. So I've messaged both these guys, good people. This is friendly competition, especially got along with Brandon, who's a crypto guy himself. So, this is community softball league. This is we're all working towards the same goal, but we just want to win in different ways. So all the best to everybody else that's competing. In the next round, I'll be in the middleweight and then going with these heavyweight hitters. I do not expect everybody in the community to always be purchasing Connects. But I think that having one opportunity to pitch could be interesting. If you think so, you can book me for $10. Once I respond to your first question, you can book me again, and that counts as another consultation. And so this is just an additional way that you can support the community. Jump into the Discord if you want more information about that. And let me know in the Discord questions that you have about the Mountain of Tomorrow, the NF Treasure vision. The vision from the top of the mountain is absolutely spectacular. I hope that everybody has a clearer entry point into seeing that now. I think I'll go ahead and stop the video for now, but I have deeply appreciated all of the insight, wisdom, community discussion that we've had that have allowed us to build out such a strong vision. This is what it looks like to build in community. And now we are building out and fine-tuning the granular details of our internal team and systems to be able to effectively build this in sprints and get it done so that revenue continues to go up, so that brand equity continues to go up, so that we're empowering other brands and communities to build core memories, and using NF Treasure as a way to reward the people that continue to give us attention. I'm John Ray, the elected project lead for NF Treasure, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.